Welcome to class. If you are someone that after taking your measurements, you cut it and you measure it while cutting and you are sure that what you measured was what you cut, and at the end of the day, if the client come for fitting and the clothes that you made, even though you took exactly the way you measured it, that's the way you made it, and the client now wore it, it's not as if the client has added weight to, you now discover that the clothes does not fit. It's either the hips have ear, the bust is too big, or the bust is puffy. It might be that the problem is from your measurement. That is why you need to learn how to take accurate measurement of your clothes. And this is what we are going to learn in today's class. So now for this, we are going to use our model. This is Anike. I did not want her to, I don't want to bring her bum bum and her breast outside to the world. So I decided to put on clothes for her just the way a client put on clothes. So it will be easy for illustration. And if you notice, I've tied rope at her waist. This is very important. It's very important. So when you are measuring for a client, please don't forget, you need to tie rope at their waist, their half length. Whatever it is you want to use to do half length, make sure you tie rope there before you start measuring. Tie rope there. Why? Because our front length is not the same as our back. By the time we go on in this channel, when I start doing practicals of clothes, you will understand that our front half length is different from our back half length. That is because of the bust area. So I've tied the rope now. So now the first thing you're going to do when you're measuring a client, one of the first rule in measuring a client is that don't allow any client to rush you. It is very, very important. In fact, if I have a client that you feel maybe the first time client and the client is like, oh, I'm in a rush, please, my dear. If you explain to the client that the client has to calm down so that he can take the accurate and the client is not willing, please, talking from experience, let the client go. Because if you rush and take that measurement and you actually make that cloth and the cloth does not turn out well, the client will say you were the one that did not know how to sew. Meanwhile, they will not accept it that they did not allow you to take accurate measurement. So please take your time. Take your time to take your measurement of your client, be it virtual or in person. Take your time. It is very important because that is the basis. No matter the design we give, if your measurement is not accurate, there's going to be problem. Do you understand? After that, my brief sermon, let's start now. Let me tie this rope very well. So let's start. So the first thing you want to do is to take your shoulder measurement of your client. Please note the way I'm standing. You can see that I'm not standing like this. I'm trying to hug my client. No, you don't stand like that. You can stand at the side of your client and make sure before you take your client's measurement, make sure you are smelling nice. It's not as if you raise your armpit and you understand what I mean. That's on the side note anyway. So make sure you stand at the side of your client like this and take their measurements. You can also tell the client that, ma, sir, can you help me turn? So the client will turn. Please don't turn your clients like this. Let the client turn themselves and you take their measurement from one shoulder to the other shoulder. Do you understand? So this is shoulder measurement now. So I've taken it. After measuring the shoulder, the first thing we are going to do, we want to take the vertical measurement. So for the upper part, so from the nape of your neck like this, you measure the breast point. For this, the breast point is 10.5. So you hold your tape rule the way I'm holding, especially if you are sewing a fitted cloth. You hold your tape rule like this, and please, you see that I'm standing by the side of my client. I'm not standing in front. So you're supposed to stand at the side of your client so that there will be space. So you hold it like this and trace the tape rule to the under bust. Trace it so that you trace it along the curve of the breast. So this is my under bust. This is 14. Then I'll measure my front half length where this staple, where this bias that I tie this is 16 and a half. Can you see it? Now I want to measure my back half length. You will see what I'm saying, that the front and the back is not the same. I've measured both the front half length. I measured the front half length. I'm going to measure the back half length from the nape of the neck. Measure it to where the collar, where the bias, where I tied the bias at the back. So I've measured it. So I got 14. So you can see that the front half length is 16 and a half and the back is 14, which shows that the difference between the front and the back is 2 inches. It's going to come handy when I'm drafting. If you are someone that is like, you are making clothes for someone that is very skinny, the person has very flat tummy, for example, the person has tummy of 27 and hips of 40, the difference is much. If you don't measure, if you don't apply lower hips or upper hips for that person or lower waist, By the time you are finished making the clothes, when the person wears the clothes, there will be ear, there will be fold at this part. So that's how you have to apply the lower waist measurement or upper hips. It's usually interchangeable. Whether you call it lower waist or you call it upper hips. So it's usually 4 inches from your navel. So now you're going to take the tape rule, still hold it like this. So you measure the length where you get your up. You know, we're still measuring vertical measurement. So this is our upper hips. Can you see it? This is 22 inches. So this is our upper hips. Now we're going to go down to our lower hips. It's the distance between the upper hips and lower hips, which is our lower hips is the normal hips, you know. It's usually 4 inches. I said the person is very tall, but you can measure it on your client's body to get it. So from 22 now, this is my hip. So I'll measure it. Can you see it? 28 inches. So this is my hip line, 28 inches. I'm still dealing with vertical measurement. We've not gotten to horizontal measurement at all. So this is my 28 inches. That is for the lower hips length. I'm now going to measure the down part. So you measure your knee. So you measure your knee. For this mannequin, her knee is 39 inches. Now, when you want to make pencil skirt, in order for the skirt to, for you to be able to, for the client to be able to walk, you are going to come up pencil skirt or this A-shaped skirt. It is universal. Then pencil skirt, A-shaped skirt. For your above knee, you will need it. By the time we start drafting on this channel, you understand what I mean? For your above knee, you see your knee line, this is 39, our knee line is 39. You will come up by 5 inches. So 39 minus 5 will give us 34. So your above knee will be 34. Then you now measure it down. Now when you are measuring, ask the client, where do you want your clothes to get to, ma? But most times for you to get fitting very well, you measure it down, let it flow very well. Do you understand? So it will flow like this. So this is how you are going to get your horizontal measurement. So we've gotten our horizontal measurement, our vertical measurement, sorry. We've gotten our vertical measurement. Now let's go to the horizontal measurement. We measure our upper bust. So how do you get your upper bust? You hold it like this. You hold the tape like this. Can you see it? Put one finger, the topmost part of your bust. You put one finger and you measure it like this. This is upper bust. Then we'll now measure our bust itself. Please, when you are measuring, make sure the tape is round like this. Not as if the one of the tape is up, the other one is down. No, it must be equal all round. So you measure our bust now. So measure our upper bust. The next thing we are measuring is our bust. That's the fullest part of your breast. Hold it like this. Let it be firm. Can you see it? Adjust your tape rule. One finger. This is 34. Then you measure your lower bust. Please make it very firm, especially if you are doing bustier and the customer does not want to wear bra. So make it firm. One finger, like I said, just one finger will do the trick. And you measure it. Can you see it? This is our lower bust. So we measure upper bust, our bust, and lower bust. Then you measure your half length for your waist, half length. Can you see it? The circumference of your half length, you measure it. Then you measure your waist circumference. You measure it. Your waist circumference. You measure it. Then you go to your upper hip line now. Measure your upper hip line circumference. You measure it with one finger. Please let it just be one finger. If you put plenty fingers, it will affect the measurement. So you measure it. Then you come down to your hips. Can you see it? You measure your hips, the fullest part of your hips, which is the lower hips now. You arrange it very well. Let the tape be firm. Let it cover the hips, the fullest part of your hips. We are measuring the lower hips now. So you measure it. One finger, please. One finger. Can you see it? So you measure it like that. You might not necessarily need to measure your knee circumference if it is for a skirt. What you just do, your hip measurement, when you are drafting it, just minus 2 inches from it. You will get your knee circumference. But if you want it very fitted, like extremely pencil, but I will not advise you, especially if you want to climb bike, it will be difficult. So normal standard measurements, your hips minus 2 inches will give you your knee circumference. That way, it will be pencil and the customer will still be comfortable. Do you understand? So now, the next thing you are going to do now is to measure your round shoulder. This measurement is very important when you want to sew an off shoulder. So what will you just do? You just take the cable across your client's shoulders like this. It's difficult because of this mannequin, but if it's a human being shoulder, it won't be slippery like this. Just take it, 1 inches, and measure it. That's it. Then now let's come to our hand measurement. Can you see the hand? So you take it like this from your sleeve cap. This is for a short hand. You take it to any length you want for it to be short. You measure it. You measure the elbow length, then the full length. If you want it to extend, please measure it. Depends on what the client wants. Some clients will say, I don't want it, I want it to be here because I want to wear wristwatch. Some say, no, let it cover, let it get here. So you ask your clients what they want and you measure it. Then you measure the sleeve width, the upper part. You measure the elbow too. This is very important if you are sewing a long sleeve. Measure it, let it be free but not too free. Then you measure your wrist, let it be free also but not too free, such that the client will be able to, the hand will be able to pass through. So you are done with this measurement now. Can you see it? Can you see? Taking measurement is very sweet. That is why I said at the beginning of this class that don't let any customer or client, which one, whichever you wish, don't let any client to rush you while taking measurement. Because if you miss any step or you mistake anything, you will have issues with your fittings, and the client will eventually spoil your brand and say, oh, she doesn't know how to sew, you understand? So please, it's very important.